Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Luffy and Boa Hancock's relationship goes beyond love. Do you know why she really likes him? I'll reveal it today. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, if there's one relationship in One Piece that remains one of the greatest mysteries in the manga, it's the one between Boa Hancock and Luffy. Boa Hancock, the Empress of Amazon Lily, known for her unparalleled beauty and her coldness toward men, fell in love with Luffy in such an intense way that it became one of her defining traits in the story. But why? What makes Luffy the only man capable of breaking the emotional barrier of this woman who has endured so much suffering? Perhaps the answer lies in the way Luffy sees the world, how he treats people, and above all, what he represents to her. When Boa Hancock was introduced in Chapter 516, it became clear that she wasn't just another temporary antagonist. Oda built her personality around pride, disdain for men, and a past so cruel that she had to hide her scar as a symbol of the pain she carries. She presented herself as a woman who despised anyone outside her island, using her beauty and the power of the animenomi to subjugate anyone who dared to challenge her. But when Luffy entered her life, everything changed. Unlike the other men she had encountered, he didn't bow before her, wasn't enchanted by her beauty, and more than that, showed that his strength wasn't just in his fists, but in his genuine kindness and his inability to judge others based on appearances. The first major shock for Hancock came when Luffy refused to be charmed by her in Chapter 516. This was something completely new to her. Boa Hancock was used to being idolized, feared, and desired, but never ignored. Luffy, being who he is, simply didn't care about her appearance because his mind was focused on what truly mattered to him at that moment, finding his friends. Hancock's expression of surprise and even frustration in that moment says a lot about the impact Luffy had on her from the very beginning. But the real change happened when he discovered her secret. In Chapter 521, Hancock reveals the truth about her past as a slave of the Celestial Dragons. This was one of the heaviest and most emotional scenes in the Amazon Lily saga. For someone like Hancock, who had always hidden her pain behind a mask of arrogance, opening up to Luffy was a huge step. But why did she do it? Perhaps because for the first time in her life, she found someone who wouldn't judge her. Luffy didn't look at her with pity, nor did he treat her as someone broken. On the contrary, he was furious at the true culprits, the Celestial Dragons, and showed genuine hatred toward those who had caused so much suffering to Hancock and her sisters. This moment was a turning point for Hancock. For the first time, a man not only didn't try to take advantage of her, but also saw her as a person, not as an object of desire or a feared warrior. Luffy didn't try to comfort her with empty words or pretend he understood what she had been through. He simply reacted in the only way he knew how, with rage toward the oppressors and a promise that if he ever had the chance, he would take them down. And perhaps it was at that moment that Hancock's love for him began to bloom. Another factor that may have influenced her love is the way Luffy treats people. Unlike most One Piece characters, he never sees the world through social divisions or prejudices. To him, a giant, a fishman, a child, an old woman, a pirate, or a marine are all just people. He cares about who they really are, not about labels or appearances. This became even more evident in Chapter 522 when Luffy, despite everything, still treated Hancock as just another person without fear or worship. And for someone who had always been treated as untouchable, that must have been liberating. Furthermore, Hancock may have fallen in love with Luffy because he represents everything she never believed could exist in a man. To her, men were cruel, treacherous, and selfish. But Luffy, he is pure, honest, and free. He doesn't lie, manipulate, or try to take advantage of anyone. He simply follows his own path, protecting those he loves and fighting for what he believes in. In a way, he is living proof that not all men are monsters. And perhaps that was what enchanted her the most. In Chapter 523, when Hancock helps Luffy infiltrate Impel Down, it's clear that her love for him had already fully developed. And what's most interesting is that even knowing Luffy has never shown any romantic interest in her, that didn't stop her from loving him. This shows that Hancock's feelings aren't based on expectations or personal gain, but on something much deeper. She loves him because he changed her life, because he showed her that the world can still have good people, because he made her believe that maybe, just maybe, there's hope for a future where she doesn't have to hide her past. And if we think about it, Hancock's love for Luffy makes perfect sense within the logic of One Piece. Oda has always emphasized the idea that connections between people are more important than anything else. Hancock didn't fall in love with Luffy because he saved her physically, but because he saved her emotionally. He was the first person to see her for who she truly is, rather than how the world wanted her to be. Perhaps that is why, to this day, Hancock remains one of the most loyal characters to Luffy. Even knowing that he may never return her feelings feelings, it doesn't matter to her. Because in the end, what truly matters is that he exists, that he is who he is, and that thanks to him, she can finally be who she truly is as well. The empresses of Amazon Lily, like Hancock, have a complex relationship with power and men. They are figures of great authority, responsible for protecting the island and its inhabitants from constant external threats. However, as women in a world where male forces dominate, they have never been entirely free to express their desires or vulnerabilities. For them, love has always been tied to a context of necessity and survival rather than a feeling of surrender and trust. In the early history of Amazon Lily, even before Hancock, other empresses lived in a world marked by struggle and the need to ensure the safety of their people. They were leaders constantly pressured to keep the island free from external threats, making it difficult to build genuine and loving relationships. Love for them was an idealized concept, a distant dream that often became a reflection of the hardships they faced. With Hancock, we see this narrative being subverted. Her relationship with love is in many ways an attempt to reclaim something that was lost by the previous empresses: the ability to love freely without it being conditioned by a role of leadership or power. What makes Hancock's story unique is that, unlike her predecessors, she has the opportunity to experience true love without constraints, something she never imagined possible after so much pain and humiliation. And by observing the past generations of empresses, it becomes clear that the cycle of suffering and loneliness among Amazon Lily's leaders directly influences Hancock's relationship with Luffy. Oda builds a bridge between the island's past and present, showing how love, even for a woman like Hancock who has so much to lose, can be a path to healing. Luffy represents the breaking of a cycle of disillusionment that her predecessors endured. He is not just a figure of salvation, but the embodiment of an ideal of freedom and truth that Hancock is finally able to embrace. Throughout its history, Amazon Lily Long, defined by resistance and female power, becomes a place where genuine love, free from pressure or manipulation, can finally exist. This symbolizes not just Hancock's personal growth, but also an entire legacy of women who, over the years, learned that love does not mean giving up one's identity, but rather allowing oneself to be truly seen and accepted for who they are. Hancock's love for Luffy, then, is more than just passion. It is the key to closing a cycle of pain and opening a new chapter in Amazon Lily's history. Boa Hancock's love for Luffy is not just the culmination of her personal journey, but also a reflection of a long tradition of Amazon Lily's empresses, who for generations dealt with loneliness, pain, and the difficulty of connecting with someone without it being tied to power or survival. Hancock's love transcends mere romantic feelings. It is a symbol of healing, liberation, and the redefinition of identity. Luffy, with his purity, kindness, and selfless view of people, represents everything that Hancock and the empresses before her needed: confirmation that true love is possible, even after so much suffering. He does not see Hancock as an imposing leader or a woman to be feared, but as a person with whom he connects genuinely. This simple fact, for someone who has endured so much abuse and rejection, is transformative. Throughout One Piece's narrative, Oda builds a bridge between past and present, where the women of Amazon Lily finally have the opportunity to experience a love that does not imprison them or define them by their pain. Hancock's love for Luffy closes the cycle of suffering and begins a new era for her Island One, where emotional freedom, acceptance, and true human connection can flourish. Hancock's relationship with Luffy is not just a love story. It is a powerful reflection of redemption and hope. It confirms that sometimes the simple act of being seen and accepted for who one truly is can heal the deepest wounds and transform a fate of loneliness and pain into one of freedom and true love. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.